Hello, Hillel Torah family. My name is Mara Mindy Reese, and this is Parshat Vayera. There's so much to say in the parsha, but we have very short time, and I'd like to focus on one thing that happens in the parsha that we could learn from for our own lives. In this week's parsha, Sodom, the city, basically destroys itself because of their evil ways, and as it's being destroyed, Hashem tells Lot and his family, because they're not worthy and because they're only being saved because of Avram's merit, that they're not allowed to look back. Vahi kotziamotam hachutza, when he was leading them outside. Vayomer himalet al nafshecha, save your life. Al tabit acharecha, do not look behind you. Va'al ta'amod b'chol kikar hahara, himalet pen tisafet, lest you be consumed yourself, like Soph. It will be your end. And a few psukim later, in same parak Yud Tet, pasuk Chavav, it says, "Vatabeit ishto me'acharav," and his wife, Lot's wife, looked behind him, meaning looked behind Lot. Vatahi nitzav melach, and the famous saying that we all know about, that she became a pillar of salt. We all know the Rashi, that it's midah keneged midah, because she sinned with salt, so she turned to salt. The whole thing about not caring for guests and not taking care of the poor. And I heard a beautiful Dvar Torah from Rabbi Tzvi Blanchard, that comparing Lot's wife with Avraham. It seems like a funny comparison, but it's more like a contrast, that Lot's wife was so over-identified and interconnected with Sodom and their culture and their ways. It was just such a part of her. It was she was totally intertwined with them, to the extent that if they were being destroyed, she couldn't even help herself but look back and go along with them. Whatever would happen to them would happen to her, because she couldn't conceive of any kind of existence without them, without that culture, because she was so that she was a part of them. And that's how she identified. She totally identified with Sodom, and with that culture, it became a part of her. Whereas Avraham, throughout all of his 10 tests, which were in last week's parsha and this week's parsha, all of his 10 tests, if you follow it, it looks like Avraham could also become identified. He's an Av, he's a family man, and no, leave your birthplace, leave your family, and go to a new place that I'm going to show you. And he couldn't become identified or too connected and too much a part of his old family and place, because he had to go to the next place where he didn't even know where he's going, and so on and so forth. And every single time Hashem said to do something, he did it. Vayashkem Avraham baboker, he got up early in the morning, and finally, according to most people, the final test is Akedas Yitzchak, where Hashem just gave him this son, and now he loves him. Take the son, your only son, the one you love, and now he can't even become overly connected and overly identified with his son that Hashem gave him, because he says take him as a korban. Obviously, he did not know that he wasn't going to have to do it, but he just would have offered that, because that's what Hashem asked. What does he become identified with? Avraham Avinu, he becomes identified as an Eved Hashem, that whatever Hashem wants, that's what he's there for. He's there to serve God. He's there to do his purpose, because Hashem, his creator, knows him and knows what his neshama needs, and Hashem asks him to do something, and that's what he does. He never allows himself, and through these tests, he's never able, or he doesn't allow himself to become too connected to something that he will become over-identified. He only identifies as an Eved Hashem. And this is just a great lesson for us to really become self-aware and think about what we are identifying with and what we are over-identifying with, and to really examine our actions and our thoughts, and are we an Eved Hashem? Yeah, we all want to think that we are, and that we're serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu out of pure love and identification. But are there things that are getting in the way, that sometimes maybe we're over-identified with? Is it a political party that we're overly identifying with? Or is it a sports team? Or is it any kind of culture? Or I have to be in fashion? Or I have to be not in fashion? Or I have to be a certain way? And it just behooves us to be self-aware and think about each day, not that we shouldn't be involved with politics, or we shouldn't like sports or anything like that, but thinking about, are we maybe a little too identified with one of these things or something in our in the culture around us, or are we really purely out to serve HaKadosh Baruch